but we all, you know, if one person's out, somebody else picks up. Okay.
Did you want me to
Um,
send an email to Gabriela Bielka? Is that correct?
yes, and I'm gonna go ahead and let everyone in now. Well, let's get yeah, I see Stephanie's there. Okay, Kimberly, are you good? Because we're gonna go ahead and let everyone in. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wake LRC Housing Subcommittee meeting. Thank you for being with us today. Well, we're going to give it a minute. And while we wait this 1 minute, let's go ahead and put our names and our contact information and the agencies we represent in the chat box. And of course, share it with everyone. All right, it's so good to see everyone. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Miss Corbett. I see your faces. I see some other names. So welcome everyone. And whoever's calling in from 605 number, please please just unmute yourself and give us your name and we'll type your name in the chat box.
Hey, Lenarda, it's Natalie. Hello,
Should have known
everyone.
that.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi.
Hey, Natalie.
Sorry to join from the phone, everyone.
Lakeisha, it's good to see you. Happy New Year, everyone. There's Pamela, our holiday ugly sweater costume winner over there. I see Jackie, green chair as well. Oh, look at you. I see you got your winnings there.
Do you see me? This is Don Gillum.
Hi, Don Gillum. We don't see you, but we hear your lovely voice.
Well, thanks. I haven't been on Zoom in a while. And what do I need to do, I guess, for you to see me?
So there is a camera and let's see.
Start video?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How's that?
Let's see if we see it.
All right.
Okay, so now you need to go on your computer. And if you're on a laptop, I'll tell you on my laptop, it's right there at the top of the monitor and slide that little camera button over. I don't know, maybe right or left. So you are sharing video, but you have your camera off.
Okay.
And usually if you're on the laptop, your camera is going to be at the very top of
Okay, I see the camera and I see a little, and it looks like it's on. It's got a little white dot.
Yep. And there's probably a button that's flush in the rim and you just slide that button. It's like you just slide it over. Not necessarily a button, but come on, help me out, you guys. Lever is not the right word. A slide. Just slide. You'll have to probably feel for it because it's real flush in it. With mine, it's really flush. You can't see it.
And it's not on the side of the computer, but let's see.
On my laptop at the very bottom, it has a microphone and it has a camera.
Right.
Click on the camera, it should come on.
Yeah, he's done that part. He's sharing his video. He's got to turn it on his computer. While you while you work through that, Don, I just want to do a quick reminder really quick. If we can get everyone to type their name, their email address, and the agency they represent. And you see, I cheated because I believe my information actually is not. The last slide, you will have some information provided to you for I won't even get ahead of myself. So some of us don't have to do it, and those of us who don't have to do it know who they are. So Natalie, would you like me to go ahead? We have I am Lenarda Williamson, your Wake LRC coordinator, and you have on the call here Miss Natalie Mabon, but I may be filling in the role. Natalie is our reentry manager. I may be filling in her role on your agendas today.
We can tag team. That would be fine.
Okay,
welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. I just wanted to do some brief introductions. Lenarda introduced me, and you know who she is. Today we have Diana Powell, who is the co-chair of this subcommittee, who is going to co-facilitate this meeting, and she and Lenarda, or she may be doing the majority of it, as I am unexpectedly in a vehicle. But we also would like to introduce to you the chair of our subcommittee, who is Miss Yamali, and I am not going to butcher her last name. I am going to let her say it correctly out of respect, and I will give you an opportunity to hear from her, to hear a little bit about her background and why she was interested in this role. I can tell you before she speaks that I feel like she is most definitely will be a benefit to this subcommittee, because she is about the business of helping individuals find resources, connect with those resources, and make decisions that improve their quality of life. So I really feel that we're in great hands with the combination of chair and co-chair that we have. I am excited to introduce to you Yamali. Would you share a little bit about who you are? I think you will have to hit *6 to unmute yourself, but if you'll do that and share a little bit about who you are and what you do with human resources and your background.
Well, hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. My name is Yamali. My last name is long and hyphenated. It's LaRoche Germain, but I'll say Germain is fine. Well, basically, I work for Wake County at the moment as with the food and nutrition and Medicaid application as a text coordinator. So basically, what we do is everybody mostly taking application food stamps and Medicaid. So basically, I have a degree in criminal justice. I have criminal justice background, which kind of got me to very much interested in helping with the subcommittee and assisting reentry someone reentry to the system, society. So basically, I love helping, and I love the idea of knowing that the key to success is with support. So I always see the need to educate them and also provide the resources that they need to succeed. So that's what really drawn me to this project, is the idea of knowing that they need our help, and our help will get them to succeed.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Yamali. And we are really glad to have you. Yamali has hit the ground running. She has also shared information that we will reference shortly in the meeting. So we're glad that Yamali stepped up to work with Miss Diana Powell in the role of chair, and Miss Diana Powell is our vice chair. So next, because I'm not sure where Natalie is, or she can hear us or not.
I can.
Oh, okay. I jumped in because I wasn't sure. You go ahead and take over.
That's okay. That's okay. Actually, from here, Diana Powell is actually our vice chair, and she's actually going to pick up with the review and the discuss of our priority work. You know, you guys did a really good job of identifying what areas or issues you wanted to tackle, and you put them in list of priorities, which ones you wanted to serve or attack first. And we did some work around priority area 1 at our last meeting. And so Diana's going to do some review work with you guys about that and cover what we have to date. And then I think there's some additional work we're going to have to do around this item. So it's going to really be you all's feedback and discussion. And I think the only other thing I wanted to say before Diana starts is that this really is you all's committee. You won't see the staff as an active participant moving forward. These meetings will be facilitated by Yamali and Diana. I will only be in the background to help as a liaison to make sure you guys get your agenda and any handouts in advance of the meeting. But we will be taking a back seat to just kind of help out with the work. This is everybody's work. It isn't the work of the LRC staff. This is the work of the LRC, and you guys are the LRC. So they're going to be really asking you guys to take on action steps, decisions that you guys make in this meeting, what things need to happen in between now and the next meeting. We need you guys to have this discussion and volunteer to take on assignments so they don't have to volunteer you. And I think these two ladies will do just fine at volunteering you. So, Diana, I want to hand it over to you, and I'll jump in as needed.
Okay, thank you. And first of all, I'd like to again introduce myself. I'm Diana Powell, Executive Director of Justice Serve of North Carolina. And I'm just thrilled to be here, be on this committee. My passion is always about the community and doing whatever we can to uplift our community to its next level. So with that being said, again, I want to thank you all for tuning in and being a part of this and moving forward. And thank you, Natalie and Lenata and Kerverly for being there and in full support. That means a lot because our plates are busy. And so we just so appreciative for that. Okay, so let's move on down into our agenda. Review and discuss priority area work. Number one, we had talked about develop a list of landlords who accept Section 8, housing vouchers, sex offenders, and that are background friendly. This would be done in coordination with other housing organizations that are carrying out similar work. So we want to talk about our action items. How can we make that become reality? And if you all have anything, anybody want to add on to that? Okay.
Diana?
I'm here.
This is Betty Corbett.
Hey, Betty.
Hi. I just want to jump in on that one simply because, you know, as you well know, I was doing some of that before leaving Raleigh Rescue Mission. And I found that doing kind of like one-on-one, you know, there was a list of landlords. I had a landlord database, and just going down that list, and I did a form, and I just called and asked those questions, the same information that you're asking now, and recorded that information. I think I mentioned before to Lenata, I believe it was Lenata, that I have that notebook of those forms. And one of the things I would love to start doing, which I haven't been able to get to yet, is to go back through that book and call those landlords. They were of course, we worked with a diverse population there. So there were those who were reentrant friendly, those who would take Section 8, some who would not. But in the course of educating them and giving some risk mitigation kinds of things, they decided that they would at least try. And many of them worked out. So I think that's one of the things that we can do is just look at what we have and what other organizations have and just make that one-on-one contact. I always believe that that one-on-one contact is better than, you know, sending them a letter or a form and saying, fill this out and send it back. Somehow they never get around to it. But when you get them on the line one-on-one, someone in that office, and you get that point of contact, that's the other thing. Then you have a specific point of contact with those landlords.
So I wanted to add, this is Lenarda, that we do have a list. Just before the meeting, I resubmitted the invitation, and if you look at the attachment, Yamali provided a list of housing providers that we can probably, I know Diana will reference it, that we can work through. And I'll stop with that. I just wanted to reference that so that we make sure that we do go back and look at that list. And carefully, that list is also on SharePoint. So if or when you get to that point, you can switch and pull that up so that we can look at that as well and determine what we'll do with that information.
Yes, exactly. I were able to look at that list as well. And Betty, I think what you mentioned is very important because as we know that there is a great need, and it's just hard. It's hard with this housing thing, a lot of land, and especially now with the moratorium that's out there, a lot of people are not moving. So the vacancy is very slim.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that's also a point well made because it's actually eventually going to work in our favor. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, everyone that is staying in place because of the eviction moratorium, not everyone is really working on being ready when that moratorium ends. And so those landlords are going to be looking for good tenants. Mm-hmm. And I think being able to offer them that is going to be a plus for us. It's just all in how we package and sell it to them. When I say sell, discuss it with them. There were, like, again, landlords who before didn't want to participate, didn't want to take Section 8 vouchers, and that's the majority of them, even though they say they have a long list of landlords. But I believe that we can convince quite a few landlords to come on board. Even I think we need to invite them to participate in this meeting, in this subcommittee meeting. We need to have landlords on this subcommittee so they can speak for themselves.
Absolutely.
And you understand what I'm saying? Because then we know what they're looking for, and they talk to one another just like we do. So when they're in their groups or when they're conversating, then they'll get the word out better than we will.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is Natalie. I just wanted to say one other thing. Betty, you're right on point with, I think, where we are headed, because our next step was to really find someone who could sort of be the keeper of the list. And so the idea is that any information you have that may be in addition to what we have, if all of the different lists can come to one place, I can compile them into one spreadsheet, and then we can divide the list and have two people go through the list and make that direct contact, make the call, introduce the council and what it is we are trying to do. And I say why not shoot to invite them to our next, invite at least two landlords to participate in our next meeting. I think that's an excellent idea. I really hadn't even thought about that. I know we need their voices. And so I think that's a good way to get them engaged. And people who invest their time in something are more likely to really, hone on to it. And if we can get them active in the subcommittee, they're more likely to help and support our participants. So I think that's an excellent idea.
And we pitch that to them so that they know that they're being invited, not just to get housing, but we really want to hear from them and see what has worked and has not worked, because something helped them to form those decisions that they made not to rent to certain populations. And we're going to have to reverse that, but only they can tell us what it is.
So maybe the first step would be to let's get the whole list. Can we get 2 volunteers who will do the calling? So if we can get all of the list, I can put it together and compile it into one spreadsheet. And then I can divide that list for the 2 people.
I don't mind volunteering.
To start making calls.
I don't mind volunteering for doing that, because I'm hoping to, some of the same folks are still around and would be able to hopefully reconnect pretty quickly. But also, I already have a database. Mine is in a database, actually. All of those forms that I put them in a database.
Well, can you share? Is that something that you would like to share with us?
Because what it'll do, the names I can share ahead of time, because what we'll need to do is, if you use that same type of database, and I'm supposed to be meeting with Lenata soon. I'd like to show her that database so that she can get an idea of what I'm talking about, because everything is in there. What the landlord, their contact information, the properties, what they take,
what software is it, Betty?
Whether they take Section 8 or all of that's part of that database.
Can you tell me what application it is?
Excel.
Oh, okay. So just the Excel spreadsheet.
It's an Excel. It's set it up in Excel, and I kept
it
updated until just a few. It's not been updated over the last couple of years. Not in the database. In my head, yes, but in the database, no. But that's what I'd love to do, is just update that database. It's there. It's a good place to start, not only for us, but even the other agencies that are doing that. If we can get that information,
So can we have one more volunteer who will work with Betty on this project? And I can't see faces, so if you guys want to volunteer some people, you can. I can't see who's on the call, so.
Lakeisha George, I'm happy to volunteer with Miss Betty, and if we split the list up, I can participate in that as well.
Okay, so Lenarda, can you look for a time and give Betty an appointment time where we can go through that, and then we can pull Lakeisha in on the list?
I think I'm probably I think I'm a couple days ahead of you, but before the end of this meeting, I'd like to confirm something with Ms. Corbett. So at the end of this meeting, we want to make sure it's confirmed. We'll get that date confirmed. But yes, we've already sent that email. So great.
One other point, if you don't mind, I hear Section 8 continue to be mentioned. According to HUD, Section 8 groups, the housing authority groups, have a list of the landlords that they deal with, even though they don't give it to their participants anymore. Many years ago, they used to give you a list when you got your voucher. They don't do that anymore, but I'm pretty sure somewhere somebody knows what landlords they deal with. And if they would just provide that information to us so that we know who these landlords are and we can approach them, it would certainly be of a great benefit. If it were just, not all names, but as many of those landlords that are already Section 8 friendly as possible, then, because we're going to have to do some pitching to them also.
Okay.
I want to add at Wake Prevent. I have a phone number that we got yesterday. Kimberly, can we add this Access Hub phone number that I just misplaced? But I bet you there's somebody on the call that knows it. It starts with
Yeah,
the
I
4.
know that access phone number. It's the
Okay.
coordinated entry number. It's the 919-443-0098.
Yes. And would you add that to the slide? And then I wanted to point out that this list says actually added to number 1. Looking at number 1, and the slide says background friendly landlords, the Wake Prevent Access Hub, and I think I saw Lorena join the meeting. That's more for an emergency assistance. So do we want to break this out? That's a little different from the other from what we have here. Are we looking at emergency resources when we talk about housing as well as long-term planning? Just wanted to put that out there, because then there's probably some other information with the housing navigation unit if we're looking emergency. And Lorena, if I or anyone else that's on the call that can speak more on this point, please speak up. So two questions. Do we want to look at emergency resources? And if so, we may need to break that out. Emergency, thinking COVID and this current environment, dealing with the environment that we're in today, as well as a long-term housing plan and the background friendly landlord. So I'm just throwing that out there.
This is Lorena.
I think we need both.
I'm happy to add to the conversation. So just to point out that on item number 1, it's actually the House Wake Access Hub.
Okay.
Wake Prevent is the eviction prevention program that we launched a year and a half ago or so. And that's the team that works with folks who are facing traditional eviction. Now, for those who are facing eviction because of a loss of income due to COVID-19, the Access Hub is actually not the space to go. The reason we didn't do that is because the Access Hub was brand new and we didn't want to overwhelm it with thousands of folks calling and tens of thousands of folks calling. And so to access the eviction prevention, if you have a decrease in income due to COVID specifically, you go through the Wake County's website, through our housing department. There's a apply here link there. You go to Telemon's website directly, doesn't matter. And there's an application button right on the website that you can click. There's a phone number if you want to call. There's an email address if you want to email. So it depends if what you're looking for is eviction prevention. So you are currently housed, but you're worried about losing your housing because you can't pay it because of COVID-19. That's an important point because the funding we're using has to only be used for people who've lost income because of COVID-19. Now, if you're any other type of renter who's facing, eviction because of other reasons or just couldn't pay, haven't been able to pay it, not due to COVID-19, if you're in a hotel, if you're exiting an institution, if you're couch surfing, any of all those, that's the Wake Prevent team. That's the team that we launched a year and a half ago. And the way to get to them is through the Access Hub. It's the same as most housing resources in Wake County are now going through the Access Hub. So it's how you get to the shelter list for emergency shelter, yes. But it's also how you get to other resources. And that's intentional. That's our one phone number system here in Wake County. So it's more than kind of just shelter at that Access Hub. The only one we broke out was the eviction prevention, COVID-19 eviction prevention.
Thank you, Lorena. So do we have it right here at number 1? So House Wake Access Hub, that is COVID related, correct?
Incorrect. That is
Incorrect.
The one phone number system in Wake County. It started because of COVID. We launched it quickly because of COVID, but it is funded now out of county dollars. It will remain after. We now have a one number system permanently in Wake County.
Okay. All right.
And House Wake has an exclamation point after it because we're extra.
Yeah, we knew that too, Keverly.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah. The other one is the COVID-19 program. That's the one where you just go to Wake County's housing website. There's an apply now button there. Or to Telemon Corporation's website, there's an apply now button there. It's online. If you need to talk to someone or email, there's also a phone number and an email on those websites if you need them.
Okay. So you're on the phone, so I guess you cannot see. What we'll do before we share this information, we'll make sure we shoot it by Lorena, if that's okay with you, Lorena, just to make sure we got that piece right.
See it. I'm online.
Okay.
And before I go silent, I want to add something really quickly, just so this group knows. This current application will close on Sunday. It was extended only for 1 month. So Treasury funds were supposed to end the end of December. So the original design ended at the end of December. When the Treasury funds were extended, we extended it for 1 month while we awaited the new federal funding. We do have the new federal funding now. It is over $19 million for the county and over $14 million for the city of Raleigh. The city, the county, and Telamon are all going to partner on that more than $33 million. It is going to take a little bit of time though. So this application will temporarily close. And then when we have enough of the information from the Treasury on the new funding, we have some threshold questions that they haven't answered yet. We will reopen the application. So it'll be as simple as you won't be able to apply come Monday. And then again, when we're ready to go, the button will be live again. There'll be a few small minor details that will be changed. And that's because the Treasury Department has put specific stipulations on this. But ultimately, it'll actually be less restrictive than our current program. It's hard to explain. If you are under 80% AMI or below, our current program takes any income level, but the Treasury has said they will only go up to 80% AMI. So it's one of the minor changes. Other than that, it's a little bit more flexible. Landlord doesn't have to do 3 months at a decreased rent. They don't do any of that. It can go up to 12 months, being recertified every 3 months. And technically, the way the language currently is written, it might even extend for 1 more certification. So it could be all the way up to 15 months, although we don't have clarification on who could qualify for that yet. And it is 100% of the rent payment. It also will include utility assistance. So where currently Wake County has a eviction prevention dollars and then separately has a utility program, they're going to be merged all under this one program. So it could be utility only, we believe, or it can be both. However, all of that will go through Telamon. And like I said, the city and the county and Telamon are all partnering. So it's one application in all of them.
Well, I'm definitely not that good to catch all of that even possible. So we're going to put something together, Leonardo, is that right? Okay.
Thank you, Lorena. This is excellent.
Problem.
So, Diana, are you there?
I'm here.
I was going to say, I did hear that we're going to separate. We're going to separate or make a distinction. I just want to be clear that everyone agrees on the right now needs as well as a long-term plan, long-term housing landlord list. So just wanted to make a note of that.
Yes. Okay. All right. Is there any more discussion on, this list and action items?
I just need some clarity. If you don't mind, I need clarity. When you say we're making a distinction on the 2 lists, are we doing one and not the other?
That was not my suggestion. I was just saying that we're in the COVID environment now, so we want to at least acknowledge the resources that, and I'm not going to misquote them, even though I just heard them. We have the short-term grant funding with regards to COVID, and we want to include that, as well as develop this list of landlords that accept all of the items outlined in priority area 1, section 8, housing vouchers, sex offenders, and a background friendly. So I was just saying, in addition to that, let's also acknowledge, because right now we're living in COVID, and if there's some information out there, we have Lorena, we have all these other partners on the call that have this information. Let's also acknowledge this as well, so we can tap into and get people directed for the needs that they have right now while we work on this long-term thing. making sure that we're getting the information out correctly. So I'm gonna make sure that we have it in writing and now before I misquote, even though Lorena just did it so excellently, probably a third time.
So the listing then would actually include, just two components. It would include the emergency piece as well as the regular components we were talking about. I think that might have been the question. But the other thing I wanted to mention is, in the last bit of money that we got from the CARES Act, the LRC was able to assist with some first month's rent and really help people get into more permanent housing. If we can get this list pulled together, I don't know that we will, have an opportunity for any of this new funding, but if we get together a list of people who are really willing to work with backgrounds, then we may be in a position to really help the navigation unit build out, because they had before, that was one of the things I wish that we had been able to achieve with House Wake funding, was to really build stronger partnerships with landlords. But if we can get this list and start having the conversations by inviting them to our meetings and develop those relationships, any additional or special funding we're able to get may put us in a position to be able to move people directly into housing if we've already established those relationships. So I think this is timely. I think, though, that we cannot lag. We have to be diligent to pull together the information and then start making the phone calls. I think we should give ourselves a deadline to hold ourselves accountable.
Natalie, I wanted to add, do we want to identify who the landlords we will invite and who's inviting them? And like you said, add a date to that as well, to go ahead and put that down.
I think the first step needs to be to get the list. Let's compile one single list.
Okay.
And we have two people who've agreed to divide that list up. And I think the invite should come once we divide the list between the two keepers of the list, if you would, Lakeisha and Betty. I think Lakeisha, Betty can come up with some names from that list. And it may be that, Betty, since you have had a previous relationship with some of the landlords, that maybe, the first invites come from you. Once the list is compiled, you can suggest who we might start with so that we can hear from people that you already have a relationship with what the challenges are, what the concerns are that we need to be able to address for them to work with our clientele. And then from there, the committee, when we come back together, the committee can then suggest, hey, I know this person, I think we should invite this person. But the invite should come specifically from, I think, the chair and Lenarda. That's just my suggestion. I don't think we should all attack people. I think we compile a list, have a plan, get suggestions for the first two people to invite from Betty. And then I think, and it may be that, Betty, you may need to be on that list, on that letter that goes out, inviting them since they recognize your name, or that could just be a part of your initial call and contact. But my thought is it really should come from the chair and vice chair of this subcommittee, and then get the information back to the committee. What are you all's thoughts?
I'm definitely open to doing whatever to push this work forward. So,
me as well.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Same here.
Oh, perfect.
And I also agree that Miss Betty Corbett's name should be on that letter, that invitation,
Yes.
because they recognize her.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
This is Lorena. I can quickly answer the question about whether or not you'd be eligible for the funding, the new funding. So the quick answer is no. And the reason why is because the funding that housing is using is directly earmarked from the Treasury for eviction prevention program. It doesn't have, it's not for other services. Now that said, so this is all just going to go through that one program that we're already running. It'll just keep going when the new money comes and the city will throw their money in the pot. And potentially the state, we're waiting to hear back from them that they'll give us some money too for our population, our county. However, the Biden administration has another huge package that they're considering right now, which includes eviction prevention and other types of community services. And so should that money come down, then we would be looking for additional community partners. This one just is specifically written by the Treasury in a kind of a very particular way.
Thank you for that clarification, Lorena. So it's still timely that we be prepared for any future funding. And just to also say, Capital Area is always looking for funding opportunities. So we write grants constantly. That's what Melinda Todd does. And so if we have this list, we build these partnerships and establish a system. So, you know, it may be a sort of a vetting process that we have. They may say that there's X, Y, and Z that they need to feel comfortable. Then we can put together a process that we go through with all the participants we're looking to move into housing. So, you know, I think it's still very timely so that we're prepared and ready to roll whenever the opportunity presents itself.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
I have another idea. I wanted to throw this out. So when we invite the landlords to our meeting, we will be sharing what our participants, what their challenges are. Should we begin as a next action item between meetings on developing that of concerns? Because I think about the meeting we participated in yesterday. I know one of my colleagues asked a question about whether or not there was housing available for individuals that had a, you know, that could pay, I think it was $600 or $700. So should we, between now and the next meeting, look at creating a list of issues or things that we would, questions or something that we would be sharing with these landlords? Are we inviting them to hear from them, or I'm just throwing that out there?
I want to add to that, and I like that because I think about the ban the box when we advocated for ban the box for people trying to obtain employment. Is that something that we could kind of, you know, petition the landlords if they would be open to banning the box to some of these barriers that have prevented people re-entering back from obtaining housing?
Can I?
If that makes sense.
I'd like to comment to that. I think that until we get the landlords on board and they really become familiar, they're more educated and become more familiar with the LRC. A lot of them shy away from the political side of it, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get the feel that we're trying to kind of use them, then we may lose them. One of the things that I would suggest again is that we've got so many individuals with these various organizations that are represented on this committee, as well as the Supportive Services Committee and the various groups, that when we have the landlords join us, I would see nothing wrong with having even some folks who are really walking through this, having them there to talk for themselves. I don't think anyone can express their barriers, their woes any better than they can. So I think that it's an opportunity to bring the two factions together so that they can hear from each other. And then that way, I think you get a more willing a more willing mindset from both sides, because a lot of times the potential tenants are thinking, you know, they've got misinformation or they're working on myths that are out there. The landlords have same kinds of issues, but they need to hear that from each other. It will be a good opportunity to let them hear from each other in a manner, in a more controlled manner, so that they really hear each other. And we could make that happen. I'm sure that's something that we could pull together, even if it was in more than one setting, you know, just have some type of round table kind
round table. Yeah.
And bring
That's
those,
excellent. That's
bring those
excellent.
folks together and let them hear from each other. And we're there to help fill in the gaps. That's when we get to throw out the things that we are looking for and how we want to help this all happen. And if both sides see that we're there for them, see, I'm kind of on both sides of the fence because I'm working with landlords now, and after getting them to participate and do affordable housing, but I advocate for them just like I advocate for the tenants. And since they both see that I'm doing that, then when I go to either one and say, this is what I really need for you to do, or this is what we need to happen, then they're more willing to do it.
So I'm sorry. This is Natalie. I'm gonna put my mask down. So it sounds like this is a 4-step process you guys have just outlined. First step being the list, which should be fairly easy, that we could compile the list conceivably within a week or so. Then make the calls, invite a few landlords, and then do a roundtable.
Yes, I think that's a good plan, because once we do the list, once we get the list and we make those calls, those forms, that information is going to tell us who we really need to approach and who's already on board.
That's right. That's right.
And so you get some of the ones that are already on board, you have them there
to talk
too,
the language,
because they're gonna, exactly. We don't need to be doing all this selling. We let the ones who are already on board talk with some of those who aren't and allay their fears. They've already been through it. The same.
That's exactly what we do with employers.
The same thing with the participants.
Yeah.
I just want to elevate and co-sign everything that's being said right now. Ms. Betty, you are so on point with what you're saying about how it's not just about the renters, it's about the landlords too, that we are here for both of them. And that's the space that we have to remember to occupy when we're having these conversations, because there is a sweet spot where there's a benefit to the landlords for working with this population and helping our folks out. And there's a space that, you know, our folks get what they need, which is secure and stable and safe housing. So it's important that we're always having a conversation from that perspective, that look, it's not just for our folks. It's for you too, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord. And here's how you benefit working with us, right? Because there are many benefits for them. So I think that's the space that we have to always try to occupy in those conversations. So thank you for highlighting that.
Absolutely. And we're not asking them to become complete landlords for this population. We're asking them to become inclusive of the population. That's what we've got to make sure we're letting them know. We're not trying to fill your properties with all offenders. We're wanting you to understand we need you to include them.
100%.
Be an inclusive.
Right. Hi, this is Jennifer. I have a question.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're all well. Happy New Year. So when the idea came up first about landlords, I had the idea from what Betty said that she was talking about landlords that are like already on her list or on a list, you know, landlords who are open to renting to, and I love Diana's term, background, who are background friendly landlords. So starting close in, which I agree completely with. Now it sounds like a slightly different strategy, or did I miss something, that we're talking about landlords in general and doing education roundtables to bring them up to speed to, you know, the joys, yes, their challenges, but really the opportunities that exist in renting to the populations of folk that we serve. I think they're both important, but are we conflating them? Are we thinking two different strategies? Because I could see there being different kinds of work depending on which group we're talking about.
Well, for me, I was speaking of starting with what we have.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
And working outward, because then they will begin to pull in others. And as folks come in or ask questions, we can begin to educate them more and then just kind of build the inventory, so to speak.
Great.
Perfect.
Because I do think that there is a place, though, eventually. I mean, that's better resource. I mean, that just makes more sense from a resource standpoint in terms of the people power on this committee and the like, you know, and I'm thinking about some of those communities with folks that, you know, have homes and, you know, have an extra apartment to rent, you know, and just may not be thinking about, you know, the population of justice involved folks, and sort of an outreach strategy for them down the line, I think could be really, and involving the faith community with that in particular.
And we need to make sure we let the landlords know that we're looking at all housing, be it a studio apartment, a furnished room, an unfurnished room, whatever, because there are some folk, I got a call yesterday and this person did just exit the system and he can't afford to pay for an apartment for what one costs in Raleigh. And he was looking more for a furnished room. And that's a good first start, especially if they don't have a good rental history. We got to help them build that history. That first 6 months to a year that they're there and do what they need to do, that's actually helping them to take that next step.
Excellent.
Okay, I see we're running close to our time of 1:30. We're getting close. Is there any more discussion that we need, or we can go ahead and make our announcements? Are there any announcements?
Yes, there are some announcements. I know I have some. I wanted to, before we move on, I just wanted to revisit. So I just want to wrap up really quick. So we're going to have Lakeisha and Ms. Corbett are going to go ahead and collaborate on the list. And if everyone, or Ms. Corbett and Lakeisha, if you will also look at the list that's provided in the meeting invitation, there's another list that you all can include. Let's go ahead and put let's hold ourselves down to a date. Can we come up with a date where we'll have that list reviewed? Can we put that down before we move on? Lakeisha and Miss Betty Corbett.
Okay, I don't know how long it's take. Now my list is pretty extensive.
Okay.
And like I said, the information does need to be updated. I don't know who's in charge in those offices now, but also, and I am gonna be meeting with Lenata next week.
This is Lenata.
Yeah, I'm gonna be meeting with you next week. So I wanted to show it to you.
Okay.
And then, of course, I've got the forms. So it's a matter of us splitting up the forms and updating the information that's on there. That would give us everything you just talked about.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to change that to you and I will meet, and then I'll schedule something for you, myself, and Lakeisha, and probably Natalie, to come together and put some dates around what we can do.
Right.
And
see how many names there are and the information that I recorded.
Okay. And
I think that sounds great, Lenora. I'll just take I'll take the lead, after Miss Betty come up with the group, you guys figure it out, and then let me know how I can assist. Okay.
Okay. And then we'll move with the next steps of sending that letter to the landlords to invite them. And I guess this will be a sub step of priority area number 1, but we'll write that and record that in our action item steps that will be, once we get all that work done, then we'll be moving the conversation towards looking at hosting a roundtable, inclusive of the reentry participants, to make sure that they are at the table as well. Just wanted to revisit that. So as Miss Diana said, now it's the time for announcements. We have 6 minutes. So I would like to share a couple things, and then we'll hand it over. I'm taking over for Natalie now. Hand it over to everyone else. If you have some events going on, please share those events so that we can support those things. So really quickly, one announcement is Wake LRC has a new customer service survey. All of the staff members will have that link on our signature, so you guys can give us feedback. We'll use that information to improve the services that we provide. In our last month's meeting, the council meeting, Go Wake team, Go Wake Access, they shared information about a survey in the Eastern. We need to get everyone's input. If you look at your agendas in the calendar, there it's a hyperlink there. Please go ahead and participate in that survey. It's really short, I think, and don't quote me on it, but I think it closes February 4th. Somewhere around that. So if you'll just try to do it by the 1st of February, we probably should all should meet that deadline. Wake LRC is going to do a pilot project. Campbell University's Restorative Justice Project will have some reentry circles that will start February 10th, if I'm not mistaken. It's a 10-week program. They're doing this work, or they've done this work inside the correctional facilities. This is the pilot project. We're offering this service to individuals that are outside on the other side. And so it's a pilot project. We've only selected about 5 people to participate in this opportunity. So it's not open to our partners, participants, but we just wanted to let you know that we have that going on. I think, Natalie, was that you're going to say something, or someone else?
Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry. I just wanted to add a little bit more about this Reentry Circles pilot project. Right now, we're doing it only with LRC participants. Depending on how this goes, we really want it to be a service that we can offer to anyone in the reentry community, no matter how long they've been out on this journey. And the reason we want to offer it is this is an opportunity for them to build a network of support. The way this circle works is the Campbell staff works with the participants, and during this week, during the process, they will bring in a support person, someone who's in their corner, and it's an opportunity for Campbell to give them support, the support people, to help build the relationship, understand the barriers, and so that people understand more about from the victimization side and from anyone who's been convicted of an offense. During these circles, they will have someone come in because we're working on building empathy. So at some point we will have victims come in, and not their victims, but we have Campbell has a group of individuals that they have worked with who are ready to help in the reentry process. And those victims come in and share with participants in effort to build empathy and help them to understand. But this whole circle really is about healing some of the trauma that our participants have experienced. And all of us at some point have experienced some level of trauma. And a lot of our participants have reacted or have existed in a place of trauma and haven't been able to break out of that circle. So in part, this circle helps them to identify those experiences, understand how they've impacted the decisions they've made. It's really going to give them the next level of success in their reentry journey. That's what it's developed to do. And then if there are parents who engage in this process, we're looking to add a reentry parent circle. So then we could build out on the relationship that parents have to really strengthen that parental relationship, heal some of the wounds that were created as a result of their plight. But this is just the pilot, and we hope to roll it out larger at some point. But we're excited about it. keep us in your thoughts. And if you have any ideas or experience with reentry circles, feel free to reach out to me or Lenarda, and so that we can hear your feedback on what your experience was or what your knowledge is.
So that was it for Wake LRC. Anyone else, if you have some events, please speak up, unmute yourself and share, so we'll support that information. We'll also make sure we include that in our meeting action item notes.
Thanks, Lenarda. This is Jennifer. I'm going to have to drop off in a minute, but I did want to put out there that IPMW is hiring for a women's reentry project director. And I just ask if you all could visit our website. You could email me, jennifer.jackson@ipm4women.org, or our website, which is www.ipm4women.org, has the job listing. We are ideally looking for someone who has justice involved experience, but we're looking for the right person. So if you or somebody you know is that person, please pass the word on. We're hoping to close the recruitment process in February for a March or April hire, but we're going to keep it open until we have the perfect fit. So thanks, everybody, and thanks for the meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else got something going on? Okay, well, we will move on, and we'll ask Miss Diana Powell to wrap up with our next steps. And I think Kimberly can go on probably. Well, actually, you're there.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up at next step. Our virtual service provider expungement session actually will be tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then our criminal record expungement from no to yes, every first Thursday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's going to take place. Our first one will be February the 4th, and it will be virtual. And then housing subcommittee meeting, March 25th at 12:30 p.m.
Excellent. And a lot of those links were shared in the email this week. Just a reminder, the event tomorrow is for service providers, for everyone on this call. It's not for our reentry participants. The one that Diana just mentioned for February 4th, you may recall it was supposed to be in person. And we talked about, there's a flyer out there that says it's limited to 12 people. We've changed that. So February 4th specifically is for the reentry participants, and it also will be virtual. So the link has not gone out yet because I've sent a large email. We received that large email this week. I'm going to send that out tomorrow. So I'll share that for that Zoom link for the February 4th event. Again, that is for participants. Tomorrow is for us, everyone on this call, service providers. But the February 4th event, right, that's the only one we have plans to be a virtual event. And as Diana said, the next time we come together, this group subcommittee is March 25th. However, we do look forward to seeing you on February 25th. And if Kimberly will go to slide 6, you can see, and you can go ahead and make that presentation size, make that large so everyone can capture, maybe do a quick screenshot of our chair, our vice chair, and it's fine. It's okay. You just, their contact information. Thank you all. 3 minutes over. We apologize, but great time. Got a lot of work done.